You may also use a vectorized approach for this command. As we have discussed earlier, vectors are native to R. So the approach is to use the lapply function. We have a list that we want to input to a function. That list is the list of values from 1 to the maximum firm ID. That's the first argument. The second argument is the function filter func. And notice that I'm not using the open and close parentheses. It just needs the name of the function. So when you run this, it will give you this output, similar to what we have in the for loop. Another important control structure in R is the if statement. So suppose that we are looping from 1 to 10, and we want to determine if the value of j for a particular iteration is either odd or even. The approach is to get the remainder of something divided by 2. If the remainder is equal to 0, then the value is even. But if the remainder is not equal to 0, then the value is odd. So to use the if condition, type in if, and then in parentheses, the condition that you want to evaluate. It's simply j divided by 2. But we're not really interested with j divided by 2. We're interested in the remainder of j divided by 2. To get the remainder, R has a special operator, and that's the double percent function. This gives you the remainder of j divided by 2. So if this is equal to 0, a strict equality in R has two equal signs. If this is true, type in the command that you want to run. We will print the word even. Otherwise, we will print odd. So the command is else, the function, and then the line that you want to run, which is print in quotes odd. So when you run this, the first value is odd, number 2 is even, number 3 is odd, and so on. Now, suppose that you want to save a file. The command is write.csv. Let's say we want to save the observations of the first firm. So we may use our filter function, which is filter func1 to get the observations of the first firm. And then after that, specify the file name in quotation marks. US airline underscore 1.csv. When you run this, control enter, go back to your folder, and now you have a new file, US airline underscore 1, containing only the observations for the first firm. You may also save other file formats. So let's apply what we have learned earlier. Suppose that we want to save a file for each firm. So we may use lapply 1 to the maximum number of firms, and then the function write.csv. It is write.csv and so on. But we need to define a function for this. So to define a function, simply type in function, and then open and close parenthesis the variable I, and then we will change this value 1 to I, and then here we need to separate this string into several substrings. To do that, use the command paste 0, and then open and close parenthesis. Be mindful of your parenthesis, so I need to add another parenthesis here. The first set of string is US airline underscore, and then comma. The last set of string is .csv, and then we need to change this to I. The paste function will simply concatenate all of these strings, wherein I is replaced by the current value of the argument, the firm IDs. So when we run this, highlight and then control enter, going back to your folder, we now have 6 files, each containing the observations for the specific firm. And I think that's a good working knowledge on R.